Good Tuesday morning. Boomer's still in isolation. We hope to have him back tomorrow. He is planning to be back here tomorrow, which will be great to be reunited, but he is with us after a Yankee game that was another ho-hum victory for them against the Baltimore Orioles. No, Yankee fans, I'm not taking anything away from the Yankees. You're supposed to beat them every single time, so I give you a tip of the cap and credit for it. And a story yesterday with one of their pitchers that drove me absolutely nuts, that there are people out there that are trying to ruin the careers of others from stuff that they tweeted out 10 years ago when they were in high school. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Hey, good morning, G. Great to see you, brother, and can't wait to get back there tomorrow. And, I know what you're going to get into, Nestor Cortes. I'll let you get into that in a minute. But, the Yankees are taking care of business. And last night it was Jose Trevino. And, out of the blue. So when the other guys aren't hitting, now all of a sudden your light-hitting catcher came over from Texas and, fills a need, fills a role. Do you just pick up a guy and throw him in there? He hits a home run, and, of course, Donaldson and Rizzo go back-to-back late in the game. Pitching was unbelievable. Luis Severino had maybe one of his best outings in the last four. And the Yanks are taking care of business. When they started this season, if you remember early in their season, they had lost 2 out of 3 to the Baltimore Orioles, and we were just livid. And we were talking about how, this team can't, they can't lose games to Baltimore. This is how they lost the AL East last year and things of that nature. Now, we looked at their schedule, as we always do, and we kind of look at it in chunks and bulk and things of that nature. And, since that time, they have really gone out and done everything that a team that is filled with MVPs, Cy Young Award winners, closer of the year, whatever, a unbelievable bullpen, especially in the middle innings. This is what the team is supposed to be doing. So they've invested over $250 million in this team, and the team should be beating a team that has invested about $30 million in their team. And, they should make no excuses or don't have to worry about anything because they're doing exactly what we said that they had to do all the way through the month of May, because this kind of schedule is going to continue all the way until May 25th, and then the Rays show up. So we'll see how much further they can go and how much deeper they can go and how many more games they can win until May 25th.
Yeah, if we're going to criticize the Yankees last year for not getting it done against the Orioles where everybody else in the division seemingly did, and that was the difference between, winning the division and not, and being a wild card team and having to play in that game, then we're going to have to give them credit for beating up on the bad teams this year, which they have done. So it seems sustainable. You're right. It comes from somebody else every other night. Donaldson, Trevino, they're hitting home runs consistently. And I know that some people will say, oh, how many home runs can you hit? Is it too many home runs? What happens if that faucet gets turned off at some point? With the way that the Yankees hit home runs, I don't expect it to. And also the pitching has been phenomenal. Much, much better than I ever expected. And they are just absolutely rolling right now. I mean, they are I know they've got some good teams in their division. I know the Rays and the Blue Jays are going to be there after the Red Sox just got off to just a terrible start. But, I mean, they've got potential to just blow them away and just, I don't know if I want to say run and hide at this point, but they have the potential to do that with the way that they are playing and the start that they got off to.
Well, and the amazing thing is they have, 3 more games against Baltimore here, and then 3 games against the White Sox, who they took 3 out of 4 from out there in Chicago.
Yep.
And then 3 more games with Baltimore. So, 6 games, the next 9 games. I'm talking 8-1, 7-2.
Yeah, well, those are the expectations right now for this team, because that's the sort of the win clip that they are at. That's what you expect from them against teams, just about almost everybody, and especially when the Baltimore Orioles are involved, and it's like enough of them. Now, I know that last year they gave the Yankees problems, but, in years past, what was it? That they were 17-2 against them, I think, in 2019. 17-2 in the 19 games that they played against the Orioles in 2019. And that's what you need to do to them, because they're just a pathetic organization that never seems to get right. So anyway, the other big Yankee story yesterday is one that's just, it's infuriating to me. And this has happened with other people and other situations where there are folks out there that try to ruin people's lives by digging through their social media accounts to find anything that they can hold against them that they have tweeted at some point in their lives. And this is what happened to Nestor Cortes yesterday. Now, Nestor Cortes tweeted out rap lyrics that included the N-word with an A at the end. He referred to friends of his with the N-word with an A at the end, and had some of this stuff from 2013 when he was in high school at 17 years old. Now this stuff surfaces. Now he's got to apologize. He's got to rip down his Twitter account, and he has to give a press conference about it, and he took responsibility in all of this. Now, there is real racism that exists. There is in this world. We know that. We see it. Unfortunately, it's on the news and in horrible ways, throughout this country. There's no denying it, and I'm not saying that that doesn't exist. But when it comes to Nestor Cortes' Twitter account, this is a completely different thing. And if you are the person that is digging through his tweets to try to ruin his life, I mean, you are the problem. Seriously. You are the problem, not Nestor Cortes and his rap lyrics. And if, you were around, Bellport High School in 2000 and the things that we were listening to at that point, and those lyrics and those things that we heard and were repeated over and over and over again, it became commonplace. I mean, this was, 22 years ago now and more when I was in high school. But Jay-Z, Biggie, Nas, all the things that we listened to that were popular, and everybody repeating them at the time, I mean, because it became commonplace. Now, you're telling me that now Nestor Cortes, 10 years later, when he's 17 years old, when he tweets out lyrics like that on his Twitter account, when he's an immature high school kid, now his life has to be ruined. He's got to apologize to everybody. This stuff really needs to stop, and we got to become more reasonable about it. And if people can't tell the difference between what Nestor Cortes did in real, legitimate trying to take somebody down with racist words and slurs, then, I mean, there's no hope for us if we can't see the difference. There's really no hope for us. And I just thought that it sucked that he had to deal with that yesterday. I really did.
I think most reasonable people have the same take that you do, because I have the same take as you do, and
I hope so.
That I'm a reasonable person. I've been around for a long time, and I've seen a lot of things in my life, and I've read a lot of things in my life. And Nestor Cortes is a 17-year-old. I mean, I'm going to take his words, especially when he's regurgitating rap lyrics. To me, when I saw this yesterday, I don't want to say I was infuriated. I was disappointed at the way people were reacting to him, but I was really happy with the way he handled it.
Yeah.
I think he handled it perfectly, and he's not going to get canceled. He's not going anywhere. And, as we have seen, and I think you elegantly put it, teenagers do a lot of stupid things. We have become over the last, I don't know, I feel like it's probably longer than this, but I think over the last 5 years, land of the free, home of the deranged. And, we're all being led around and reacting to derangement syndrome that, I think is overtaken whatever, media or whatever teenager happens to be doing something stupid, indiscriminately pulling a gun, or unfortunately what happened up in Buffalo. Yeah, racism does exist. We all know that. But the point being is that, I think all of us, with the exception of a select few, I would say all get along really well. And I think back to my locker room days. I think back to the people that I work with. I think the way that you probably grew up out in Bellport. We've been around all different sorts of races, and we've been fine. We've all gotten along. Patrick Mahomes said it. I said it back when I was in the NFL. I said if every society were like an NFL locker room, we would never have a problem.
Yeah.
Because you have to work together for a common goal. And when you get to work together at a common goal, and if a coach is any good or worth anything, he is going to make sure that everybody's getting along so you understand each other and you understand where each other is coming from and how we grew up. I actually read an article last night where Deion Sanders talked about us working together at CBS.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't last very long. I think it lasted 2 years. And he and I did go back and forth, and we did debate left and right. And I said at that time, and I'll say it again at this time, he was great on TV, but he saw the world differently than I did. And the reason he did is because of the way he grew up compared to the way I grew up.
Sure.
And, it was his life. He created something magical and special because of his athleticism, and now is trying to impart his wisdom on a group of kids at an HBCU. And, I moved on with my life and made a media career out of it. But when we were together, we had differences of opinions. But I never left the building angry at anybody. It was just a fact that there was, and actually I went back to him and I said, look, man, my friend Kenny Wolf put an entire program together, and it was going to be called In Black and White. And it was going to be through his eyes and my eyes, the decisions of, whatever the week was or the conversation of the week or any of that other stuff. And the reason I say this is because when I was reading about Nestor Cortes and the tweets and the Twitter and the whole thing, it was just like, this is so idiotic that he has to deal with it. I mean, I guess he's 26 or 27 now. Mm-hmm. He's a major league pitcher for the New York Yankees. He's overcome every, and I don't mean it's not a pun, but every shortcoming that he's had to deal with, having to prove himself. And he has done it in so many different ways over the last 2 years. He's been a great story for the New York Yankees.
Yeah, and now he's going to have to deal with this because there's someone out there who's trying to ruin his life because he's having some success. So there was a person out there who decided to, because the only way that you could find this stuff is one of two ways. You either scroll through every single tweet that he ever had, or you type in, at Nestor Cortes, whatever his Twitter name is, and then put in quotes all sorts of curse words or racial slurs or whatever. So someone out there goes, okay, this guy's having a lot of success. I don't know if it was a Red Sox fan. I don't know if it was a Mets fan. I don't know, whatever. Or just a flat-out jerk who wants to tear down the Yankees and tear down this guy. Someone went and did that to try to ruin his life and probably was sitting there giddy when they found some old rap lyrics. And here we are, and I'm one of them who has, sat there and glorified guys like Jay-Z because I loved his music and Biggie and all of that stuff. We'll sit there and we'll do that. We'll watch P. Diddy host the Billboard Music Awards. We'll watch, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg do the halftime show. But then Nestor Cortes will tweet out some of their lyrics, and then he has to deactivate his Twitter account and then be held his feet to the fire? What? How does that make any sense?
I don't know, but by the way, did you see what P. Diddy said?
Yeah, he was trying to uncancel the canceled, and he had Morgan Wallen out there, and he had Travis Scott out there. Yeah,
right. So Al, this P. Diddy's the guy that I ran into, right? Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, all the same guy.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I knew I liked that guy.
Yeah.
So regardless of what their lyrics are and what they're singing about, or what anybody's screaming and singing about, I mean, it's entertainment. It's entertainment. It may come from a real place, and most people are. I think inspired by real happenings in their life, but man, this thing with Nestor Cortes and 17 years old. I mean, you think back when you were 17. I remember when all of this social media first started, and I think my kids were in college. If you go back and I remember, telling both of them, just look, guys, I don't know where this is going. I have no idea. I think we all have to take a step back and let's just see what's going to happen here. And who knew? Over the last 15 years, this was going to end up being the way it has, and how people have weaponized it in so many different ways. So somebody weaponized his 17-year-old tweets against him for some reason, whether it be somebody in his personal life, somebody that is, feels like, he doesn't give them enough time in their real life. Who knows? But, at the end of the day, it's a 17-year-old's tweets, and I'm not gonna look at him any different today than I've looked at him last week, the week before that, and the last 2 years, given his success as a New York Yankee pitcher, and, by the way that he has carried himself.
Oh, absolutely. And same here. And I know that you say that most reasonable people feel the way that we do, but do those people express it enough? Or are they quiet about it because they're afraid of what their words may be interpreted as? Or their words getting twisted, or, coming to the defense of someone who tweeted something like that out all of a sudden puts them in the crosshairs, and they don't want to do that. And then this vicious cycle continues to spin. I mean,
it's just, it's the way that, I don't know. It's just,
it sucks is what it does, man.
Does.
I mean, it really
especially
does.
for him, especially in the middle of a good season.
He probably feels terrible about it,
I know. If it was something like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and it was definitely an attack on something. Again, I didn't read the tweets. I just read the article. And I, obviously saw his comments in regard to it. And I thought his comments, were right. And, I'm pissed at my younger self. And, that's it. That's not who I am. That's not the message that I preach. I preach positive vibes. I'm a positive guy, that kind of thing. Overcoming the lack of height because I'm not 6'6" and throw a 99-mile-an-hour fastball, that I could still be effective at this level. And hopefully I'm inspiring others to try to do the same thing that I've been doing. So to me, that's a great message. And to me, he's in the midst of a great season. The Yankees are in the midst of a great season. And I guarantee you, every single one of his teammates will rally around him.
Yeah, I agree. It is Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network, just getting started on this Tuesday morning. Jerry Recco's got some treats for you. I was listening to the warm-up show, and I don't know if he's going to get to it at the 6:30 update, but at least by 7:30, he's got some little like doggy biscuits he's going to throw your way that you're just going to absolutely love. Oh, man, I can't wait to hear your reaction to some of this audio that he's got this morning.